Hello everyone, welcome to Analog IAS current affair analysis for 25th August 2020, and these are the couple of articles we'll be dealing today. So the first article for the day is taken from the Hindu, and this is written by the member of the previous Finance Commission, Mr. Govindra. So it is a very important article and it talks about the need for a fiscal council. Now before starting this article, let us try to understand what is a fiscal council, what is the need for having this. So technically, if we have to define a fiscal council, it is nothing but a public institution which is independent. Now what is the aim of this public institution? So the aim is strengthening commitments to sustainable public finances. So this argument was given by the 14th Finance Commission itself. So this is not a new argument. Even before the COVID pandemic, the Indian economy has been facing a slowdown, and the Prime Minister Economic Advisory Council also felt that there was a need to form something like a GST council, citing its success because not in the recent times but before the pandemic has struck our economy, GST council has been very successful in negotiating the terms to strategize various taxation issues. So to form something similar, the Prime Minister Economic Advisory Council has also suggested that we need a council like body, GST council like body, to strategize expenditure and have maximum impact. So what was the reason as to why this need for forming a public spending council or a fiscal council as it is called came into the picture? Generally, there was a discontentment over the manner in which center is distributing money to the states. So it is according to the Finance Commission recommendations only. But the recent pandemic has exposed the limitations of the states giving up their taxation powers because they are not able to raise tax revenues. So we have a scenario where various cesses and surcharges are becoming disproportionate amongst the total divisible revenue. So there should be some sort of a mechanism to ensure that the basic spirit of federalism is kept intact, and the devolution process, it should not be haphazard, or at least there should not be some sort of a clever financial accounting methods to avoid paying more money to the states. That is the situation we are seeing right now. So there is a need for coordination between the Finance Commission as well as the GST Council. That was the need felt back then. So even crossing the FRBM targets, recently the Comptroller General of Accounts said that the fiscal deficit target would be 4.6%. Now to the people who are not aware of what fiscal deficit means, it is nothing but the difference between the total income and total expenditure. So we will be borrowing a certain amount of money to meet the expenditure, and that is now at 4.6% of the GDP. So this is the background. So if we talk about the consolidated deficit of the union and states, there is an estimation that it can be as high as 12% of GDP, and the overall debt could go up to 85%. So when you take into consideration off-budget liabilities, the situation becomes even more alarming. So off-budget liabilities are the loans taken which are not accounted in the budget. So it is in this context there was a need for a fiscal council which strategizes the kind of expenditure a government should make and ensure that there is a transparent mechanism. So besides large deficits and debt, there are also questions of how comprehensively we are looking at the budget. Or to put it in a simple way, are the budgets really taking into consideration all the possibilities of our liabilities, the practice of repeated postponement of targets, timely non-settlement of bills? Are we accounting all those? No, that is not the thing that is happening in the budgets. So there is definitely a need for a fiscal council. So if we take a look at some of the international practices, according to the International Monetary Fund, there are 36 countries which have this independent fiscal councils, as of 2014, and ever since more have been established also. So in most of the advanced economies as well as emerging economies, uh, there is an increasing tendency or increasing interest shown towards this independent fiscal councils or fiscal institutions. So the most important objective that these fiscal council will have is to ensure compliance of rules. So recently we have had a situation where states asked center for money and FRBM targets were breached, and beyond that threshold, if the states had to borrow, the government at the center said that only if the states abide by certain fiscal rules, we shall give in more money. So the states were obviously not happy with this conditional transfer of money in this times of pandemic. But it is also important to understand that this compliance of rules is very important, because when the markets fail, governments have to step in. So when do we know that the governments fail? For that we need to have formidable data and checks and balances mechanism. That checks and balances mechanism is created by this fiscal council because it ensures compliance of rules. This is the entire picture of the need for a fiscal council. That is the gist of this article. The second article for the day is taken from the Indian Express and it is titled Reinventing Strategic Autonomy. Now before proceeding further, let us understand this concept of strategic autonomy. To put simply, this is an extension of the idea of Atmanirbharta or self-reliance. So this idea of Atmanirbharta, when it is extended to the international relations and foreign policy, it becomes strategic autonomy. So many foreign policy experts were very skeptical about the usage of this strategic autonomy and self-reliance, and it took Prime Minister Modi's speech at length to explain his conception of this Atmanirbharta ideology. So it doesn't mean that India is willing to go back on its promise of globalization. It only means that it wants to partner with those countries which wants to empower our country. So we have certain advantages like huge demography and huge market. So if any country is willing to empower this large population by investing in our country, we will be choosing that country over others because it is in our self-interest. That is the meaning of Atmanirbharta and strategic autonomy. It doesn't mean that we are going back to the era of socialism where we are closing our borders and closing our economy from international partners. So in this article, the writer is trying to explain the approach that India followed in 1990s. So right after the breakdown of USSR, the Cold War has come to an end and the world turned to be a unipolar world which is dominated by US. So time and again India has ensured that it is not dependent upon the whims and fancies of US, and it has tried to defy all the odds, and entire foreign policy has been designed to counterbalance the dominance of US in this region. So today we have a scenario where US has been replaced by the dominance of China in our immediate neighborhood. Whether we are talking about the strategic backyard of Indian Ocean or whether we are talking about our policies of neighborhood first, it is being challenged by Chinese hegemony through the concept of checkbook diplomacy, wherein China has been pumping money into our neighborhood and winning over the neighbors, and later it is holding them at ransom to act in its own interest. For example, take the case of Sri Lanka Hambantota port, wherein it leased a particular area called Hambantota for 99 years. It was not supposed to be a military base, but it was supposed to be a logistic port. However, there have been allegations that Chinese reconnaissance ships or military ships which were surveying in the area have tried to use this area as a base under the camouflage of being a logistic boat. So such kind of issues have time and again cropped up. So India has been doing its best to ensure that China's dominance is countered in this region. So, this pandemic has only accentuated the differences that India and China had, and even the world realized how difficult it is for the world to cope when there are undiversified global supply chains. So, there is a need to redesign these supply chains. It is in this context that India has again ensured that the concept of strategic autonomy is heard more vociferously in international forums as well to gain support for our country. So, the author says that we have rightly ensured that our stance is very vociferously heard and clearly explained on various international forums, because threats to territorial integrity or economic prosperity are reasons which are good enough to change our foreign policies. So, this foreign policy should be coupled with the structural reforms in the internal economy to make environment conducive for global level partnerships. That is the gist of this article. That's it for the day. Thank you.